Hello, this is Nathan Allen from Poets&Quants, and I am on a Peloton bike in my room in Berkeley, California, trying to stay away from the coronavirus. And right now, I have a guest for an interview. It's Dean of the University of Illinois Gies College of Business, Jeff Brown. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Nate. Nice to see you. And I'm also on my Peloton here in Champaign, Illinois.
So the technology these days is incredible. We are, I don't even know how many miles apart, 2 time zones apart. We're on the same Peloton class right now, a 20-minute class. And yeah, we're doing this almost virtually side by side.
Absolutely. And it's, I often think with everything that's going on in the world and people having to distance themselves and work from home, how fortunate we are that we have all this technology available today.
Totally. So first, I want to chat a little bit about, you seem to be a pretty avid biker. I've seen your profile on the Peloton. You've put in a lot of rides. Is cycling something that you've been doing for a long time?
Yeah, so actually this is ride number 350 for me, and I'm sharing it with you rather than my usual Peloton buddies today. But so I used to bike on the road. In August of 2018, I actually had a pretty bad bicycling accident. And got a concussion, broke a bunch of bones. And ever since then, my ride is 100% Peloton. And so I try to use it just about every day.
Yeah. Well, for those who don't know the Peloton, 350 is a big milestone. So we should all feel honored that it's happening now on this interview. So the world's been a little bit crazy the past week or two. And the reason why I wanted to do this virtual workout interview with you is first just to talk about what's going on for you all in Illinois and how you're dealing with the spread of the coronavirus and moving things online.
Sure. So like many universities, we have taken steps over the last couple of weeks to get ourselves ready to move fully online. We announced prior to spring break that the entire university is shifting to an online format right away. We were on spring break this week. That was fortuitous timing because it gives all of the faculty and students the opportunity to prepare. At Gies, we were in a pretty fortunate position relative to most schools because we had gone heavy into the online space with the launch of our online iMBA back in January of 2016. So if you think about it, we have across our college maybe 7,500 students in total. Close to 3,500 of them were in fully online programs already, our iMBA and our online Master of Science in Accounting, among others. So really for us, what this means is that we're now shifting all of our undergraduate and our other graduate courses online. We're already well situated in terms of a truly top-notch e-learning team, capabilities. We already had all the vendor contracts we need and so forth. And so starting on Monday, we are geared up to continue all of our classes with as much synchronous online interaction as we can, supplemented with, we have a pretty big collection of pre-recorded video content that we're actually making available to other schools as well, trying to do our part to help everyone prepare for this transition.
Right. And so are you all then keeping the undergraduate students just away from campus for the rest of the semester? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, that's correct. Not just undergrads, really both graduate and undergraduate programs have moved fully online for the duration of the semester. Like a lot of schools, we had to do the very difficult thing of canceling graduation as well. We're currently in discussions about what's going to happen for the summer term. And obviously we're all hopeful that we'll be able to get back to normal by the start of the fall semester. But our graduate and undergraduate students have all been strongly encouraged to return home. We have a lot of international students on our campus, and so we're not requiring that they go home. We have left some residence halls and dining halls open so that those students that don't have anywhere else to go do have a place to be and a place to stay. But all of our buildings are on reduced hours. Faculty and staff are working remotely to the extent possible. So it's been a pretty dramatic change, and we're far from alone. I think that's become the new norm across higher ed over the last week or two.
It's been a little bit of a scramble. So back in 2016, like you already said, you all did something really revolutionary in the market. And first of all, you launched this iMBA. Not only did you launch it, but you launched it for what, $22,000?
About $22,000 for the whole degree. That's not per year, that's for the entire degree. Yeah.
So one of the least expensive online MBAs in the market. Some of them are going up to 200,000 or more these days. You all are doing it for 22K. And not only that, but a very good school. So tell me a little bit about the decision process into going there, getting it at that price point, and maybe for our viewers, readers who haven't really looked too much about the iMBA, what it's about.
Sure, I'm happy to. We're really proud of this program. And honestly, it really came out of our mission and who we are as a public land grant institution. We have always put a big priority on access and affordability. And so when we really began these discussions about entering into the degree space using the Coursera platform, we made a decision very early on to try to price it at a level that made it possible for students from around the world to access it regardless of their financial situation. We really view this whole degree as about reducing barriers. So we've obviously substantially reduced the barrier of cost. By having it online, we've gotten rid of geographic barriers because students are never required to come to Champaign-Urbana, although we welcome them anytime they want to come. And so students can take it from anywhere in the world as long as they have, high-speed internet connection and so forth. But we've also designed it in such a way that it's a very flexible program. People can try it out before they commit to the whole degree. People are able to jump in and out of courses over the course of the year. So for example, if you're let's say today, you're a healthcare worker, and given the demands on your schedule right now, there's just no way that you can handle this course in addition to the demands on you professionally. You can take an 8-week period off or longer, and then jump right back in when you're ready to. And so we've really intentionally designed this program, every aspect of it, from the design and the structure to the cost, to really reduce barriers and make it possible for anybody in the world who is at the appropriate point in their career and qualified to be able to earn an MBA.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And the growth that you all have seen too, it's into the thousands now, just 3 years later. Can you talk a little bit about that growth?
Sure. So, I became dean in 2015, and one of the first decisions I had to make was how big we wanted that first cohort to be.
Yeah.
And we decided to keep it to about 50 or 60 because it was brand new what we were doing. And, there was always that risk that we'd get something wrong and we'd have to manually intervene to fix things. And so we admitted about 115 students, thinking we'd get about half of them. 112 accepted our offer of admission. So our first cohort was 112. It was, a 97, 98% rate of accepting our offer of admission.
Uh-huh.
And we've grown, we have 2 cohorts a year, and each one is getting bigger than the last. And so, we've already had hundreds of students graduate from the program, but we currently have about 3,200 students currently enrolled in some part of the iMBA program. We also have quite a few what we call non-degree students. So students that are taking our courses for graduate academic credit. They're not necessarily enrolled in our program. In some cases, they're doing it to kind of try the program out, or maybe transfer credits to other schools. In other cases, they're just doing it because they really want the skills and the knowledge.
Gotcha. So just going to take a break for a second to update the viewers. We're about 10 minutes into our 20-minute workout right now, and the dean is Lance Armstronging me right now. He's way in front of me.
Not at all.
He's way. I can't keep. I've been slowly trying to build up the resistance to catch up, and I can't do it. And he's doing all the talking too.
I'll start to lose my breath before too long. But
so let's the next question I want to approach in kind of 2 different paths. So the first path is, we've got a lot of schools now, obviously, that are being forced into moving online. whether they want to or not. That's kind of where things are going right now. So first I want to ask, from a school perspective, what are some of the things that you learned, some mistakes you guys might have made, anything that you can share in rolling this out? And you guys obviously had the planning to go through it, but considering schools that are being forced to do it, what are some kind of best practices you can suggest?
Sure. So obviously, at the situation that everyone faces right now, there's just going to be a lot of triage involved, right? People don't have time to do a lot of planning for it. I think to the extent possible, some of these are going to be basic, but I would say encourage your faculty to use the same technology so that you can develop a team of experts among the faculty as well as your e-learning team so that they know how to support it, just from the basic technology standpoint. Second of all, I would say don't reinvent the wheel. There are schools like us, and we're not the only ones, but we have enormous quantities of very high quality, professionally produced content delivery videos for just about every business class you can think of that are already residing on Coursera. And we have worked with Coursera to make it possible that over the next several months from now until the end of July, if a business school wants to use our content, they can access it for free. The non-synchronous part, the pre-recorded videos, and they can use that if they find it valuable. There's, it's not just us. There's a number of Coursera partners that have high quality content out there. The third thing, and I think this is probably the most important thing that we learned, and unfortunately not everybody's going to have quite time to adapt to this, but let me lay it out there anyway, since we don't know how long we're going to be in this environment. The analogy I use is thinking about when the motion picture was created, right? And it was not the case that Hollywood essentially just stuck a camera in the back of a stage theater and just filmed what was being performed on stage. They recognized that it was a different art form, and you could tell the same story on stage or from a camera, but you had to do it differently, and you had to play to the strengths of the medium. This is true with teaching as well. And what works in a face-to-face classroom doesn't always work well in a virtual classroom. But on the other hand, there are things that work extremely well online that might not work in a face-to-face classroom. And so the more that you can get your faculty to share with each other what works and what doesn't, and how they need to adapt their teaching styles, the better. This is not just about how you explain and deliver the content. It is also about how you do grading and assessment when you have students who are remote. And yes, there's technology solutions out there that allow for remote proctoring and so forth. But if you really take the time up front to think about the kinds of assignments that you are giving, the kinds of work you're having students do, and you optimize them on the front end for the online environment, you can really have a much better student experience. Last thing I'll say is that 3 of our faculty had an op-ed this week in Inside Higher Ed that really talked about the fact that done well, online can actually be a very intimate experience. I mean, just like you and I are thousands of miles apart right now, but I'm looking you right in the eyes, right? And I feel like you're essentially in the same room and that we're having this conversation. You can do that with students as well. And, instead of a student sitting in the back row or off to the side, you might not ever make eye contact with them. It's actually possible for you and the students, no matter how big the class is, to be able to have that eye contact, to be able to converse, and so forth. So the way we do online has this live component, and I think that's extremely important. Not everyone's going to be able to do it. Some people are just going to have to throw a lecture down on video, and in the short run, that may be all you have time for. But I really encourage people to think about the breadth of capabilities that you can do in the online space and not settle for just a quickly prepared, let's throw it down my face on a video, just delivering basic content. There are much more creative ways to go about it.
Right. And so the second approach to this question now is, schools aren't the only ones who have been forced to adapt. students and potentially applicants have also been forced to adapt into this space. And so first, from a student perspective, I'm wondering if you have any advice on, approaching this new reality. And then second, from the applicants, maybe now considering online versus a residential program, or considering that the residential programs are going to have to be online,
Right.
What are some reassurances you can give them, or things to think about too?
Sure. Well, let me answer the second question first, which is about students that are thinking of applying. Look, there are schools like Illinois Gies, and there are others as well, who have figured out over a number of years now how to deliver just an exceptionally high quality educational experience. It is not, to dispel a myth, it is not like watching YouTube or watching Netflix. It really is an interactive, highly engaging experience, and the faculty that have experience doing it are doing it extraordinarily well. There's going to be some bad online delivery coming out in the next several weeks and months from schools that just don't know how to do it and don't have the resources to do it, and faculty that don't have experience to do it. And I would say, don't judge the quality of the online, the potential online experience you get from a place like our iMBA based on these kind of hastily put together experiences that you might have in some classes where they're doing it under duress in an emergency situation. We have an amazing cohort of people in our iMBA program, and we have doctors and lawyers and engineers. We have a retired 4-star U.S. Navy admiral. We've got entrepreneurs and business executives. This is a group that has amazing work experience, and I can tell you they would not be they wouldn't waste their time on a program. They stick with our program, and about 95% of our people stay with our program once they start it because of the quality, because of the network they build. So you don't have to think of online as some poor substitute for a face-to-face experience. It's actually, you pick the right school, it can be incredibly high quality. As far as current students are concerned, those that haven't had the experience of an online platform, I'd say, first of all, be patient. There are tens or hundreds of thousands of faculty all across the country who are going to be doing this for the first time. They're going to be learning about it as you are, and there will be some hiccups along the way. Many schools are starting to announce various steps that they're taking, policies that they are bringing out in order to help with transition, whether it's giving students the option to, take classes pass, fail, and that sort of thing. And you should pay attention. Those will vary across institution. But my biggest advice right now is it's very easily, while we're doing social distancing, to become socially isolated. And given the power of technologies like Zoom, and Skype for business, and I don't mean to favor any particular vendor, it is quite possible to stay in very close contact with fellow students, with your faculty, and so forth. And I would encourage that because, we all know that education is more than just about what happens in the classroom. It's more than just about the content delivery. It's about building a network, having people to share ideas with. And with today's technology, there's no reason you can't continue to do that.
Right. Yeah, totally. And then lastly, I want to ask you, it's not a totally fair question. You're going to have to pull out your crystal ball a little bit. But I think there's a lot of uncertainty in a lot of different industries and markets right now.
Yes, there is.
But from student applicants' perspective, what are some things that you could foresee changing for the good or not so good as a result of this? I mean, I think higher education is going to change in one way or the other. It's been forced to a little bit. So anything that you could foresee, changing because of this situation?
Sure. I got asked that question by somebody this morning, and I said, if I ever had a crystal ball, it is now shattered. It's really hard in this environment to predict. But what I think I can pretty safely say is that along with all of the dislocation and disruption, and there's no doubt there's going to be a lot of people in the world that are harmed by this, not just their health, but economically, right? I think it's pretty clear we're heading into a recession. The question is how long and how deep. But even at times like that, there are opportunities. There are opportunities for people to think of new business ideas, to think of new solutions to social problems that we may not have realized existed before. So for people that have the energy and the training and the idea, there will be opportunities for you out there to go out and not only do well for yourself, but make a real difference in the world. I mean, at Gies, we talk a lot about business on purpose, and it's both about being intentional about what you do, but it's also about recognizing that there is a larger purpose to everything that we do. We're hearing a lot on the news these days about the helping professions, right? And whether it's teachers or ambulance drivers or doctors or what have you. I always tell people, as far as I'm concerned, most business people are in a helping profession because the businesses that we create, the businesses that we run, they are solving problems for people in the world, right? Think about it right now. We are relying heavily on the private sector to make sure that we get the food that we need, that we get the toilet paper that we all need in spite of the shortages, right? And and so there will be opportunities in this for folks. I'm hopeful. I try not to make macroeconomic predictions, but I am hopeful that if we can get these rather dramatic steps that we've taken that I support of trying to minimize the spread of this virus, assuming that that is successful and sometime over the next few months we get it under control, my hope is that the economy will rebound relatively quickly. It's not going to happen overnight. There are going to be some small companies and so forth that are permanently shut down, but you can look at the trends that we see right now, and as bad as markets are being beaten up and as bad as the airlines are being beaten down, there are other companies like those that do Zoom and other technologies that allow people to connect with each other in a virtual space are going to do extraordinarily well. So, that's what I guess that's the general perspective I offer.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And it's a tough question for sure. I mean, no one knows, and things that I thought were true a week ago, I don't know about anymore. So
yeah, it seems to be changing by the day.
Yeah, by the hour sometimes. So we've hit the end of our ride. Our virtual instructor is gone, no longer on the screen. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Everybody, this may be a little bit of common sense, but what we're doing right now, there's two things we're doing right now, which are maybe even three that are, I think, really important for everybody to keep in mind during this time. One is to stay socially connected with people, right? You can do that pretty effectively online. We've had a great conversation here. Second of all, is take care of your health. Make sure you get exercise. It's way too easy to be stuck in a home during these times and not even get steps in and so forth. So find a way to take care of your health. And third is there's still a lot of work to be done, right? And we have students that need to be educated and research that needs to be done. And yes, it's disruptive. But I think people are really stepping up. And one of the things that I often think about these last few days, when we got into the online business, the thing that we completely underestimated was how much what we learned in the online space was going to change how we taught in the face-to-face classroom, because it forced us to think completely differently about education. And we realized that there were some things that we could do better that we had been forced to learn by going to online. And what I keep thinking about this week is how a lot of our day-to-day interactions, the way we manage people, the way we manage organizations, the way we teach and so forth, may permanently change, because as a result of this shock that we're all experiencing, we're trying out new things. And I had one of my associate deans yesterday tell me that they are actually in more contact with their team today than they had been normally, because they have forced themselves to get on a cadence and have these face-to-face one-on-one conversations online. So there will be some good that comes out of this as well, along with all the difficulties and some of the real pain that people will experience in the coming months. So, I would say just keep that in mind as well. And it's hard to be an optimist at times like this, but there are things to be optimistic about. So don't lose sight of that.
Yeah, very well said. Well, great. Thank you so much, Dean Jeff Brown of the Gies College of Business at the University of Illinois on his Peloton. I'm Nathan Allen for Poets and Quants, also on my Peloton. Take care, Dean.
Thank you. We'll see you out there on another ride someday soon.
All right, we will.
Thanks.